Sebastian, a handsome youth, and his sister, the lovely Viola, were twins. They looked very much alike. When they dressed alike, it was hard to say which of them was Sebastian and which was Viola. Their parents were dead and they loved each other dearly. At the time of this story, they were sailing down the coast of Illyria. A sudden storm arose and their ship was wrecked. Many sailors were drowned. Viola managed to reach the shore safely in a small boat, together with the captain and a few sailors. When they landed, Viola's first thought was for her brother. Was he safe? The captain comforted her with these words, "When the ship broke in two, I saw your brother floating away, tied to a mast. The waves may have washed him ashore. It is quite likely." Viola looked around her at the strange land of Illyria. She wondered what was going to happen to her there. "Do you know this part of the country?" she asked the captain. "Who rules this country?" Viola asked. "Duke Orsino, a noble duke, noble in nature as well as in name," the captain told her. "He's unmarried and is deeply in love with a lady named Olivia who lives nearby. She refuses to marry him and the duke will marry no one else." "Who is this lady Olivia?" Viola asked. "She's the daughter of a count," the captain explained. "Her father died about a year ago, leaving her in the care of her brother. This brother died soon after his father. His death was a great grief to the lady. She's never left her house since the day he died. Nor will she see any visitors." Viola felt an instant pity for this lady who had lost a dearly loved brother as, perhaps, she herself had. She told the captain that she wished that she might enter the Lady Olivia's service. The captain told her that there was a little hope of this. "Well, then," cried Viola. "If I cannot serve the lady, I will serve the duke. You, my friend, must help me. I will pay you well. Get me some clothes so that I may dress like a boy. Take me to the duke and tell him that I would like to be his page. I will sing to him and serve him faithfully. You must also promise me that you will tell nobody who I really am." The good captain promised. He found a suit of boy's clothes for her. Viola put it on. She looked so much like her brother Sebastian that the captain exclaimed in wonder. He took her to the duke. Duke Orsino took an instant liking to the youth, as he thought Viola was. Viola called herself Cesario and, under that name, she became the duke's page. No one but the captain knew that she was a girl in disguise. As Cesario, Viola did her best to please the duke. She waited on him. She said to him. She cheered him up when he was sad. She listened to the duke's story of his love for the lady Olivia and she pitied him. At the same time, she herself began to fall in love with him. But she hid her love. It was not long before the duke sent Viola with a love letter to the lady Olivia. "Go to the lady," he told her, "and tell her how much I love her. She is unkind to me but I am true to her. Say that I shall always be true to her till I die, she will listen to you. Your youth makes you the right messenger for a message of love." With a heavy heart, the Viola set out for Olivia's palace. Her duty was to persuade the lady to marry a man whom she herself wished to marry. She was stopped at the gate by one of Olivia's servants. Obeying his mistress's command, he would not allow her to enter. "My mistress is asleep," he told Viola. "Then I shall wait here till she wakes up. My mistress is ill. I shall wait till she gets better." Viola would not go away and the servant went to tell his mistress. He also told her that Viola was a very pretty youth. Olivia was curious to see this pretty youth, and ordered her servant to bring him to her. When Viola entered, Olivia was sitting, heavily veiled, amongst her women attendants. "Which of you is the Lady Olivia?" asked Viola. "I have learned by heart a fine speech to say to her. I would not like to waste it on anyone else. I am the Lady Olivia." Olivia smiled and said. "My message is for your ears only," Viola said, and requested Olivia to send her ladies away. Olivia dismissed her attendants at once. She felt a sudden liking for this charming page. "Lady, will you let me see your face?" Viola asked her. "Yes, I will let you see the picture by drawing the curtain," said Olivia, throwing off her veil. "Well, is it not well done?" she asked. "Excellently well done, if nature did it all," Viola told her. Viola then began to speak to the Duke's great love for Olivia. "For love of you, he spends his days weeping and groaning. If I loved you as my master does, you would build a hut at your gates. There would I live. I would spend all my days calling your name, writing songs, singing them to you. I would not stop till you listen to my love. I will pity you and listen to you, but not your master. Go and tell him the message and come tomorrow to tell me how he takes my message," said Olivia. She offered some money as a present to Viola, but she refused and said, "It is not your money that I want, but your kindness towards my master," and left the palace. When Cesario had gone, Olivia was filled with a longing to see him again. She called her servant and ordered, "Run after the Duke's messenger and give him back the ring which he bought me." Olivia said, "Tell him that I will not accept it, nor will I ever accept presents from his master. Ask him to tell his master that I shall never marry him. He want to know why. Tell him to be sure to come." The servant overtook Viola on her way back to Duke Orsino's palace and gave her both ring and the message sent by Olivia. Viola guessed that the lady had fallen in love with her, as she had not given any ring to Olivia. "Poor lady," she said to herself. "She might as well love a dream as love me. Oh, what a tangle we are in. I love the Duke. The Duke loves Olivia and she loves me. Oh my. Well, we must let time untangle all this. I can't." Viola gave the Duke Olivia's message, but was worried that Duke would not take no for an answer. Viola tried to reason with him. She tried to convince by saying, "Suppose a lady loved you as much as you love Olivia. If you told her that you could never love her, wouldn't she have to accept your answer?" Duke replied, "Nah. No women could ever love me as much as I love Lady Olivia. Women can never love as men do." "Oh. Yes, they can," Viola replied. She continued, "My father had a daughter who loved a man. She never spoke of her love. She hid it, and slowly, she pined away." "And did she die, my boy?" asked the Duke, in pity. "I am all the daughters and all the sons of my father's home, yet I do not know," she replied playfully. The Duke gave a ring to the Viola and asked her to go once more to Olivia and give her that ring. Viola set out once again to Olivia's palace. This time she was not stopped at the gate. A servant led her to the Olivia. Then Olivia refused to listen to any message that she got from the Duke and said, "You are the one I love." Viola felt pity for the lady and did not know what to say. Viola said, "I can show pity but cannot love you, and I shall never marry any woman." Quote. Viola left the palace in deep distress. The very next morning Sebastian, brother of Viola, had arrived in the city. Viola would have felt happier if she had known that her brother was not far away from her. A worthy sea captain, Antonio by name, saved Sebastian from drowning in the sea. Antonio took Sebastian with him on board his ship and had become his close friend. For the next 3 months, Sebastian had sailed with Antonio to different ports on the coast of Illyria. And the happier thing was they have landed not far from the Duke Orsino's palace. Antonio felt sorry for not accompanying Sebastian to visit the city and the palace, as he had wounded the Duke's nephew in a sea fight some time ago. If he went into the city, he would definitely get arrested. Antonio, therefore, told Sebastian to be careful and warned him. He said that he will be waiting in the Elephant Inn and gave a well-filled purse to Sebastian. Antonio was very fond of the boy. Sebastian promised to return in few hours and set off along the road leading to the palace of Duke Orsino. In the meantime, Viola was going to be in great trouble. Toby Belch, a very fat fellow who lived only to eat and drink and be merry, and was the uncle of Olivia and staying with her in her house. With him were his friend Sir Andrew Aguecheek, a foolish, boastful fellow and a great coward. As a joke, Sir Toby had encouraged Sir Andrew in his hopes to win Olivia as his wife. He ought Andrew fight with Cesario and said Olivia openly favored the page. Toby knew that his friend was a great coward and laughed. Andrew then wrote a letter to Cesario, a fierce challenge, and sent it to Viola. Reading letter, she trembled and with fear. Toby told her that Andrew was the bravest and strongest knight that he had ever known to Viola, and said Cesario was a deadly swordsman in the world. This resulted in full was fear for both against each other, as one is coward and others do not know to fight. Sir Toby Belch laughed aloud and long at the success of his jest and was looking forward to the duel. On the day of the duel, they were trembling so much that their swords were shaking in their hands. Viola out of fear was going to cry out, but to her surprise, a stranger rushed between her and Sir Andrew and drawn sword. He shouted to stop and asked Andrew to fight with him instead of the boy. It was Antonio the sea capitan. Worrying that Sebastian had not returned, he risked his life and come to the city to find him. Viola was astonished but was very grateful that a stranger helped him. She was wondering that who he was when Duke's officers arrested him on the Duke's name. "I have to obey," Antonio said to Viola. "They've caught me as I told you they would." "Ah well. Good Sebastian, give me back my purse. I shall need it now." The captain pulled her by her brother's name. Her happiness touched the hill, realizing that her dear brother was alive. A gladness filled Viola's heart. As she had not got the stranger's purse, she gave hers to him and said, "Here, take mine, there is little in it and that is all I have." Seeing the ingratitude of his friend, Antonio was deeply hurt. He to officers, "I saved this boy's life," he said, "I've been his true friend and I followed him here at the risk of my own life, and now he refuses to give me back the purse that L lent him. He even pretends that he doesn't even know me." The officers were not interested and dragged him away. Viola left the spot as she fears that Sir Andrew would return and renew the fight. Soon after Viola left, Sebastian came to that very same place. Sir Andrew saw him and took him for Cesario. Now Cesario had shown himself a coward. Sir Andrew, therefore, felt brave enough to hit him hard on the head. Sebastian, however, was no coward and instantly he returned the blow. Furthermore, he drew his sword and challenged Sir Andrew to a fight. Most unwillingly, Sir Andrew had to draw his sword. The fight had hardly begun when Olivia came running out of her house. She had been told of the fight and had thought that her Cesario was in danger. "Stop," she cried. "Put up your swords." She ordered Sir Andrew to get out of her sight. Turning to Sebastian, she begged him, in a very loving manner, to come into her house with her. Of course, she took Sebastian for Cesario. Sebastian was very surprised at the kindness of this unknown and very lovely lady. He followed her indoors. She kept on speaking to him as if she loved him. "Am I asleep or awake?" Sebastian asked himself. "Is this but a beautiful dream? If it is, I hope that it will last forever." The thought came to him that the lady might be mad, for her behavior towards him was so strange. He noticed, however, that she ruled her household sensibly. She was not mad. All the same, he could not understand how she could love him when she had never set eyes on him before. Olivia called for a priest to marry them. Sebastian was astonished, but he readily agreed. Olivia promised to keep the marriage secret for as long as he wished. Sebastian hardly understood what was happening, but he felt a great liking for the beautiful and gracious lad. For a while, he stayed with her happily. Later, he remembered that Antonio was waiting for him and he went off to look for him. He wanted to tell his friend about his very strange adventure and he needed his advice. On her return to the palace, Viola told the Duke of her ill success with Olivia. Orsino then determined to send no more messengers to the day. He would go and speak with her himself. He set off for Olivia's place with Viola and numerous other attendants. They were kept waiting at the gare some time before Olivia appeared. While they were waiting, the Duke's officers came up to him, with their prisoner, Antonio. "My lord, this is the man who wounded your nephew," they told the Duke. "We have arrested him according to your orders." Viola was anxious to help Antonio and so she told her master how he had helped her. "But then, he spoke so strangely that I could not understand him," she added. Antonio, taking Viola for Sebastian, told the Duque of Sebastian's ingratitude. For the past 3 months he had been Sebastian's true friend. That very morning they had landed in Illyria. He had followed Sebastian to the city although he knew that he would be arrested if he were discovered. He said Sebastian had refused to return his purse to him and had even pretended not to know him. "You must be mad, fellow," Duke Orsino told him. "For the past 3 months this boy had been serving me as my page." At the moment, that Lady Olivia appeared. Seeing her, the Duke ordered his officers to lead Antonio away. Now, he had eyes and ears only for the lady whom he so deeply loved. The Lady Olivia would not listen to Duke, her loving looks and words were all for his page. Orsino could not fail to see that his lady loved his page. The Duke then turned to go away. With sharp words, he ordered Cesario to follow him. Viola gladly obeyed, for she had no wish to stay with Olivia. "Stay," Olivia cried to Viola. "I shall go with my master. I love him more than my life, more than I shall ever love a wife," Viola told her. "Cesario. Husband." "Stay," cried Olivia, forgetting her promise to keep her marriage secret. "Husband," cried the Duke in great astonishment. "Yes, my husband, and he cannot deny it," Olivia told him. "My lord, I am not her husband," Viola said. Lady Olivia sent for the priest who had married her and Sebastian. "Holy Father, tell us, did you, or did you not, marry me and Cesario?" "I did. Not 2 hours ago," said the priest. The Duke was now certain that Olivia had spoken the truth. Cesario, his faithful Cesario, had lied to him. And how falsely he had behaved. The Duke felt angry enough to kill the boy who had so betrayed him. "Never come near me again," he cried to Viola. Viola was deeply distressed. So was the Lady Olivia. At that moment, Sebastian came up to them. He greeted Olivia as his dear wife. He turned to Antonio, saying, "Good friend, how glad I am that I have found you at last. I've been so anxious about you." Nobody spoke. All were dumb with amazement. They gazed at Sebastian and Viola in wonder. The two were so much alike that no one could say which were Sebastian and which was Cesario. Then Sebastian spoke. "If you were a woman, I should welcome you with tears of joy as my sister Viola. I feared that she was drowned. Can you be she? Wait but a moment and you will see that I am she. I will take you to a captain in the city. He saved me from the wreck and found these clothes for me. It was he who brought me to the Duke. My clothes are at his house. When I've put them on, you will see that I am truly your sister Viola," said Cesario. All became clear then. Everyone began to talk. Sebastian began to tease Olivia. "You fell in love with a woman and married a man by mistake," he said. Olivia looked delighted at the mistake she had made. Duke Orsino gave up all hopes of ever marrying Olivia. He remembered how Viola had often said, "I shall never love a woman as much as I love you." He now understood what she meant. He asked Viola to marry him and she joyfully agreed. Thus the story comes to a very happy end. Sebastian and Viola have found each other. The Duke has a loving and faithful wife. The Lady Olivia had the husband of her choice.